Hello everyone, I-80386SX, and today on the docket we got a package from Federal Express from the city that sold its soul. Now don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against Houston. Anyone that knows me quite well knows what that reference is. Bonus points if you actually know what I'm referencing in that, and what Houston and its city selling its soul is about. I'll give you a hint, it is about sports, so go ahead and research that as you like. This box also, so to speak, in the term that is used in the LTE and Armada world, fills a bingo card. Now, anyone that follows this channel will naturally say, well, you filled the LTE Lite video card or bingo card. I don't know why I said video, but... And, well, you'd be wrong if that's what you're thinking's in this box. I did absolutely fill the LTE Lite bingo card, but I did that in 2017, 3 years before this channel really took off and I did anything with it. Now, here's our bingo cards. I know, we low budget. So what else do we got under here? So we got all those, but that's been filled since 2017. Got a couple elites. I'll give you a hint before I go any further. This is a very easy bingo card to fill in terms of Compaq products, so not that. Only have a few 5000 series. And then I got lazy. So yes, in this box we have one of two items. Kind of a spoiler alert, but that's alright. We either have a Contura Aero 425 or an Aero 433C. And the 386SS logos are obviously free spaces. We do those on this channel from time to time. So anyway, there is your little bingo card. And if you haven't figured it out already, the filling the bingo card term means you have one of every model. Or at least one of every model. I have at least two of every model in the LTE Lite world now, so we kind of built a nice little collection and probably angered some people along the way doing so. Let's open this puppy up. Let's see what we got. Now, what surprises me about this is that nobody put any bids on it. And 15 seconds, 0 bids. I put minimum bid down. And great surprise, I won this thing. And from my understanding, just looking at the pictures, it did turn on. Let's get that camera to the left so you don't need... It turned on. The hard drive might be dead. Not entirely sure on that one. It looked like it turned on, and if I saw the screen just right, it either has 12 or 16 megs of RAM. It also had some extra goodies in it, so if any of those goodies actually work, then we made off good. And this was 50 bucks. So it was not a very expensive retro machine at all. I was actually quite surprised that nobody put a bid on it. And it came ridiculously fast. And for a while there, it seemed like that shippers only shipped out on Wednesdays, or shipping services only wanted to ship on Wednesdays. But I bought it Friday night after hours, and it shipped the next business day. So, you know, technically it was a few day wait, but FedEx doesn't ship at 6 o'clock at night. So. It's got bubble wrap. Ooh, questionable shipping. Not much bubble wrap, but we'll see. This thing is very heavy. Out of the way. There we go. And it comes with the carrying case as one of the accessories that I forgot about. And it's got the nice original Compaq logo on it. Didn't buy it for the bag, but there's the zipper on this thing. Way in the bottom. Let's open her up. So it comes with a Compaq Contura Aero power brick. It comes with the other half of the power cable, which actually looks to be original. Ah, maybe not. Yeah, oh, it's printed in Canada. I thought the thing was made in Canada, which would have been kind of impressive, but the ever elusive floppy drive with the floppy in it. We don't know what's on the floppy, but these things usually run for double the cost of what I got this laptop for, so even if that works, in the terms of vintage IT world, we made off good. And finally, the little Contura Aero itself, and some extra miscellaneous paper or plastic. I'm not sure what that is, but oh well. And there's no other pockets in this bag, so nothing of any kind in there. Now, before we open this guy up, let's see if we have a 6 or a 9 cell battery. This guy, she's 9. Whoa, look at that. I gotta pause at this because I always do. And if it bothers you, I apologize. It's a 9 cell battery made in the United States. So that's kind of nice. It probably is a paperweight as it stands today. I've yet to get a Contura of any kind that came with a good battery, but these are surprisingly easy to rebuild, despite the idiotic way I built my last one, but not too bad at all. So first thing is first, let's get all the stuff connected to this. Let's try to get all the stuff connected to it. I just gotta figure out how to get this out of here. Oh, there we go. I didn't even know about that. But... and I believe this only goes in one way. And I put it in the wrong way. Alright, so the floppy drive is in. We'll move that puppy over, and yeah, that doesn't look too bad at all. And the power cord is a bonus. We like bonuses on this channel. We welcome it. And this notebook was packed better than the LTE Lite with the similar model number was. So there's that. We have that going for us. So let's put this puppy in. And like I said, if even one of these components is good, I think this is going to be a win. And try to get out that little reflection out of there. Let's see what we can do. Rock and roll. Power on. Does come with a hard drive. Whether it's any good or not, I couldn't tell you. And the screen is very white, washed out, but I think we can lower the brightness. Oop, I didn't do it. Yeah. Oh, it recounted. There may be a default brightness setting that I gotta figure out. But it does have 12 megs of RAM. You'll have to take my word for it, but I can see it from the angle I'm sitting at. It absolutely has 12 megs of RAM. And I have a feeling this hard drive is in trouble. What the? May even be a Connor. Okay, so this time, and now I can kind of tell that there's some writing on the screen. It does detect a hard drive. And I worked with the eBay seller R Drive's work, if this is a Conner, and this may have a CFN hard drive in it versus the standard CN or CF. I'm not sure which is the LTE Lite variant, or the earlier variant of that, or CP, so CP for that matter. He tempted to buy some Conner drives from this Our Drive work, but he said the drives are old and tired, and I'll tell you what, I'll ship something out that I know you bought in the past. And I replied back, like, well, can you ship the dead ones with? Might be able to fix them. And it's like, no, these are significantly different, so. Oh well. But we may get our answer on if Mr. R Drive Works was right in this instance or not. He's never let me down before, so I'm going to say there's probably some truth to it. And this thing is just stuck at the RAM count, unfortunately. So let us power off again. Oh, okay. It's getting stuck at the RAM count. But I took the floppy out thinking that might be part of the problem. I'm not entirely sure yet. I hope the floppy isn't dead, because that's kind of a valuable piece to this, and yes, this is stuck. So, let's take the drive out. The hard disk, that is. Well, I forgot, this is not quite as easy as the Contura 400 series, but oh well. You get to see my wonderful arm up close. Probably something you didn't want to see, but it's out there. And, of course, always take the power out, even if you think the battery is a paperweight. Better to err on the side of caution than not at all. These laptops are stupid easy to get the screws off, as it is 4 screws. And once again, if you did not want to see a close-up of my arm, I apologize. And we'll just actually zoom in on more or less of what we're working on. Put the screwdriver upside down. The workbench is getting a little messy. There's 3. And the 4th one always has to be stubborn, because rules are rules. I look forward to this all week. You know, the crappiest some of my days have been lately. Still come home and work on something that has the power of a baked potato. And I have to tell myself how to get this cover off, because I don't entirely remember. It's been a while since I had one of these apart in any significance. I imagine there's probably latches that I have to let go. This one is hanging on for dear life. There's a nice little latch right off to the center. I know you can't see, but you'll have to take my word for it. That is likely getting in the way. Got it. pure luck I got it. Hopefully no more off-camera tactics to... Oh, wait a minute. I forgot a screw right there. I don't remember if the 6th screw has to come out or not, but we'll find that out once we start digging into this a little deeper. And I really feel bad if I break this machine in any significant form, as I don't see these for sale very often, and when I do, they are almost always very expensive. I think like $200, $300 range is usually what I see them go for these days. Or at least that's what the seller tries to get for them. But I am not willing to pay that exorbitant amount of money for something that I'm going to use once in a blue moon. Might have went $100 if I knew if everything worked for certain, but if I'm not 100% sure on that, then yeah, not going to spend that kind of money. Yeah, maybe I do got to take that hinge off, and I seem to remember my 425 being some kind of magic trick to get this palm rest off. And maybe I'm going to take the one hinge, the additional screw off, so I think that'll give us a little bit more leverage. There we go. Not quite the way I envisioned it, but well, this one is hanging on for dear life. There it is. I know. You could probably roast me in the comments for the way I took that off, but the deed is done. Now we got one more screw for sure that we have to take off to get to the keyboard. This is going about as good as I expected it to go. Maybe there are more than one screw. Could be upwards of 4 screws we have to take off. Get those puppies off. They got rather interesting heads. They're much smaller than the 425 counterpart. Yet they exist. So off they go. And one of those screws fell into an undesirable location. But it is what it is. Once the keyboard is somewhat back up, or if I can reach it... Oh, I see where it went. It went right there. See if I can get her out. Stupid trackball. There, now we got her. So, now onto our regularly scheduled programming. And the hard drive is an IBM, not a Connor. So I was half hoping for a Connor. but you can't win them all. And I just gotta figure out how to get this hard drive out. Okay, that's good enough for my test. So let's get this back in its happy little socket. And let's see what we can do to get this machine at least to a point where it will post. Might have to give it a little bit of help to make that my world. I don't know if it's on or yet. Yep, it's on. And RAM count is underway. And CMOS battery is warm buttery toast. The RAM. Yep, hard drive is just dead in this machine. So, alright, so we'll have to find a hard drive that's compatible with this machine and go from there, I guess. And now you can kind of tell that there is something on the screen. I don't know how to make that. Oh, hold on here. Let's see if we can do something. There we go. That's more like it. That's far more visible. So I'd like to get an OS on here of some kind. It's not going to happen with that particular drive, at least not as it stands right now. The display cable is a little bit out on the right side, although that could have been my fault when I pulled this apart. So I'm going to go find a hard drive. You'll see something in there pretty much different instantaneously because, well, that's what video editing's for. So with the magic of video editing, we're going to put a different hard drive in here and continue on and see how good this machine really is. Alright, so this is technically take 3 on this, and if you notice, I'm going to take something that we'll call a little bit of a high-risk, high-reward situation. Originally, as soon as I find where I put that hard drive, there we go. The machine originally came with this IBM 540 megabyte drive, and it has a Compaq part number right underneath my thumb, the 189131001. Attempted to replace it with this guy here, this Western Digital 540 megabyte drive, and there's some specs on here. And the specs on these drives are almost identical. The cylinder count on the WD is just a 0.0001% smaller than the IBM, but Western Digital didn't even want to spin up. So we are going to try the CF to IE adapter instead. So let us do our thing. I also did replace the CMOS battery while we were out, so that should be fine. And it does have a drive type in it, so that's good. I have no idea what's on that floppy. And I inadvertently bumped the power brick, so maybe that's a good thing, because who knows, maybe this has to be plugged in before the machine's powered on. We're about to find out right now. Maybe the power brick is in not so good shape. And the disk itself is not a system disk, or the disk drive is dead. Let's see if we can fiddle with the brightness settings just a bit here. Let's see if that's a little bit more readable. Yeah, there we go. That's better. There could be absolutely nothing on that floppy. There could be somebody's book. Could be anything. What I just inserted into the drive was the Compaq utilities that you typically would put on a hard drive. What does it say? English. Utility, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. And still hot on the way, and the fact that it's getting this far makes me think that we are largely in business. And crying about the time, so I'll fix that. So it is 10/21/2021. What's the exact time? I couldn't tell you. And it is 7:54 p.m. where I am. 7:54 p.m. And I think that should do. Trackball works fine. And still reading information for whatever reason it wants to do. Alright, there we go. Do keep in mind the utilities I am using are for an LTE Elite, so if things are not coming up the way they're supposed to, that is a possibility. And the disc this person shipped with it was blank, so we got that. So let's see what we got. So we got, oh, it's asking for an asset management number. I don't need to put any of that nonsense in. And it's got the hard drive type in there. And it's asking for a hot plug diskette drive, which we are not going to disable. As we do that, we basically brick the machine. And US keyboard, power management. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I was hoping that I could find a place to... Oh, here we go. I think this will do it. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, it restarted. And won't you, lo and behold, there are Compaq utilities on this particular SD card. Play-by-play again on that one. 10. Yeah, there's Compaq utilities on there. So what I think this particular CF card has on it, I think it was one of those failed attempts to clone a drive from either a USB enclosure or CF card enclosure, or something along those lines. But so, well, good. That cuts back on some of the aggravation. So, all right, cool. So I'm going to put this thing back together. We're going to put an operating system on it and see what we can do with it. And once we get an operating system of some sorts on this device, then I will show you the end result and we'll see if everything works on it. Hello everyone. i0386SX and yet another LTE light video. What exactly about the LTE light? Well, something that all modern computers need in order to function properly. Storage. That's the piece we're going to talk about here today. And this, I literally pulled out the first LTE light I had that was convenient, and this is actually the perfect machine because of a little tale I'm going to tell later. This is my LTE Light 425C from the United Kingdom. Now, you could go ask about storage, and if you're an LTE enthusiast, the Elites and the 5000, your options, as long as you stay generally under 8 gigs, or with the 5000 under 6 gigs, you'll have a working drive. There ain't going to be a problem. There's a little bit of fine print with the 5000 series. I know somebody did get it working with an 8 gig CF card with some overlay software, I believe. I wish I could find the video. I think the original author deleted it. Maybe didn't. Maybe there was some side effects that just we found later on. I don't know. I even tried to put this drive into a 5000, and it started okay, but much like all drives that are larger, it just didn't want to work. It would start the boot from the floppy as you would do that second part after F-disk, and it just hang. So, but anywho, this is, get back on track here with the LTE Light series. There is no such luxury with these machines. They are very picky about what type of hard drives they will take. So, there's a very simple question that many people ask that restore these. Well, hold on, I got the solution. These drives are getting harder to find. Why don't I just get one of these guys, compact flash to the ID adapter, and set it accordingly, and boom, we got flash storage. Hold on, I got a report on that. Let me get the report for that. Just gotta research that one real quick. There was a publication that came out with very large letters on what to do or how to get your LTE light to read one of these compact flash cards. Just bear with me here. It's gonna take. Computer's being a little slow today, so. And the person between the chair and keyboard isn't exactly going great with him. Okay, so we found that report. Let's print it off and let's see what the results are of, or what the recommended steps are to get this combination to work with this machine. I did get this printer for free, so she ain't perfect. You can't argue with free and working. That's a fun little story for another day. Alright, so here's the report. This is your instructions on how to get a compact flash to ID adapter in an LTE light. Don't. Yeah, just don't do it. It won't work. For number one, if you're lucky, it just won't work. But more times than not, when people that try to put these in these machines, they blow the hard disk controller, and especially with a machine with the floppies, almost none of the floppies work anymore because of the bad belt situation. You got yourself a hefty little paperweight on your hands. And that's where this LTE light comes into play. The person that had it before me did do just that. He did try to put in a compact flash, the IDE adapter, and blew out the hard disk controller on this motherboard. Knowing little to know it at the time, I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know about the motherboard thing at the time, so, well, a little bit of an expensive lesson, but it is what it is. But we got a new motherboard in this thing. We got a working hard drive that's on the approved list, and away we go. So, that leads us to the question. What drives work with this machine? We'll go to the approved ones first. Let me get camera down here. I have a whole pile of them here. And some of these are opened, some of these are dead, but the model numbers are the more important component of this. This one, the Conner CP2121, the CP2080. The most common ones you'll see are these ST9144A. And in later machines, there was another model that was used to substitute that will work just fine. And then this is the fourth option you can get, is the Seagate ST9235AG. So look at these drives in all their glory, and those are the drives that you are targeting if you're trying to restore an LTE light. Now, like I said, there are others that will work just fine. And for whatever reason, I did not bring them out, but I will do that right now with the magic of video editing. Okie doke, so we found more drives. We'll get these out of the way. If you get some of these Conners with stuck heads on them, I don't think I brought them up close, but here's one. This Compaq part number may aid you in some way, shape, or form. But there are some drives here that may or may not work. This ST9145AG, this one is dead, but I keep it around for demonstrations like this. I think this is actually what came with this laptop. But this is a plug-and-play drive as well. I think it's type 51. Whatever the ST9144A is, that's what you want to use. Now we'll go into our untested portion of our tour, meaning it'll probably work just fine, or it has worked, but you may have to do some manual work to get them to work. Sure. This is an untested variation. This is the ST9235A, which we will test later in this video. I got this from a person or an eBayer named Our Drives Work. And there was a little bit of difficulty getting these because, for whatever reason, I was not allowed to bid on it or buy things from this seller. I don't know what happened, but it was a mistake, but we exchanged some communications, and here we are. We got 3 of those bad boys, and I'm looking forward to testing them. And if you are from Our Drives Work, and you want to prove that I did do business with you in the past, here's an ST9144A I've got to open. It's a spare. I got it from the same seller a couple years ago, and it looks nice. So, anywho, so we'll test that guy later. This drive, I do have one of these in another LTE light of mine. That was an experiment I did to install Windows NT4 to see if these LTE lights could handle it. And I selected the appropriate drive in the BIOS. I don't remember the number off the top of my head of what drive, but you just have to scroll through it and match these variables up as close as you can. I think there's a 1023 1663 option for that one. Actually, you know what, since we have time, we'll get to that shortly. This drive here, I had a thinner version of this drive. I bought another LTE light from the UK. It came from the British Standards Institution. It said it was the 12 millimeter or the 17 or the 15 millimeter version of this 400 some megabyte drive. But if you go through the BIOS options, you will notice that there are no 400 megabyte drives. All they did, I ended up finding out that they must have had an 80 megabyte drive that died, and they just threw this in there, or threw its cousin in there, and called it an 80 meg drive and called it a day, and used it till the end of its useful life. So, you know what? If it works, it works. So, that's what I know for sure of drives that do work, or may work with some light configuration. So let us go to the computer. And I will eventually bring out another LTE machine for this exercise, because I don't feel like tearing this guy apart. Alright, so we're now to the C prompt. We gotta do the old control alt delete. Yep. Not that it matters if you have the trackball in the picture or not. We're not gonna use that for this portion. So now, to keep in mind to follow things along, we're going to try and find the variables to put this drive, the ST945A6AG or something with these specs, into this machine successfully. So we go to F4 to configure. It is not plug and play. Now, this is an interesting part because you have a 650 megabyte drive. I don't even think this system can handle anything above 500 megs, so I don't know why that's in there, but it's my ProLinear 425S, I believe, also has that same value, but I can't get it to go detect anything about 512. So let's keep going. Oh, that's it. Type 42. So to review, if you want this drive to work in this machine, or at least have a chance of it, type 42. That's the one you want. So, cool. So, that is the portion of that tour. And now, last but not least, we're going to see if the plain Jane vanilla ST9235A is compatible with this machine and at what capacity. I'll have to do a little bit of video editing on this, as I got to go find that half machine that I use for these tests, and we'll find out if Mr. eBayer's R drives works. We'll find out if those drives really work. So stay tuned. I'll be back right now. Alright, so that took way longer than it should have. There is a limitation if you worked on these machines, or really early 90s Compaqs and probably others, that especially if you're missing a screen like this machine we're going to use is, you need one of these VGA cables, or you have to pull up the pin yourself if you're lucky enough to do that. And it took me a while to hunt this guy down, so it took longer, but this is why we have video editing, so you don't have to watch me do all that extra curricular activity. Now, the drive is going to come out of its package now, and our drive works. If you do see this, I will say that the anti-static packaging is a very nice touch. The sticker is very nice touch. We'll get this on here. It does seem like that they are very thorough with their drives, but we're going to really find that out shortly if that's the case. I'm almost certain that is the case because I ordered from them before, and there's computers around here with those drives in them actively right now, and I haven't had a single one die. So, and also, we are all, however, off to a bad foot. And that's because I put the stupid IDA cable / speaker cable on backwards. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. So to show and demonstrate, if your ribbon cable does not go like this, you got the drive in wrong. The PCB side should be facing up by the time you are said and done. Let's get that in there. Alright, so we're in. Power was disconnected, so your screw up i80386SX actually did something right. Here we go. Let's power it on and let's see if this thing is plug and play. Uh-oh. Oh no. What we got going on here? We're almost unplugged completely. Maybe that's it. Well, this is maybe a disconnected keyboard? Well, we're going to see some quick on-the-fly troubleshooting today. Keyboard looks like it may have been slightly disconnected, and if that's the case, we ain't going to get far. Maybe a bad keyboard. I know I have one of those floor... Oh, there we go. Just disconnected. Well, I do think that this keyboard may be dead, or partially dead. Can't be easy, can it? I did have one floating around that was half dead, and I think I just found it. Let's try this one. Might have to tear apart one of these little buggers to see what happens. Yeah, I did forget to unplug it during that whole exchange, but oops. There we go. This one, the enter key is a little bit skanky on this one, for lack of a better term. So we're going to reset the drive to 0. I'm not sure if this was in from the last drive or not, so we're going to do that. We'll do primary. And we'll see. Yep, okay, so that did exactly what I wanted to do. So let's go exit and save changes. Yeah, this one's got a bum enter key on it, but I think that might be fixable. We'll just use half dead as a sacrificial lamb here. And, all right. There we go. And survey says the ST9235A is indeed plug and play, at least on the 433C, that is. So there you go, there you have it. Unfortunately, I don't think this disk drive actually works, so I'm not going to be able to put an operating system on this as it stands right now and do any further testing and that fun stuff. But, you know, maybe if we get bored here at some point, maybe I'll pull out the docking station and we'll image this sucker and we'll see what it can do. But, well, it's a hard drive. We know it's plug and play. We know it's getting this far. And the gentleman or lady behind Our Drives Work seems to be telling the truth so far. So, their drives work. But that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you today. General rule, it's a thumb with these machines. If you can find the 4 or 5 or so approved ones, that's what you want to do. That's what I strongly recommend. That way you're not going to be running into trouble down the road. Little note with the ST9235AG. You may have a black one with a label kind of like this. As long as you got the model number, the ST9235A or AG. Yeah, here's some more. The A drive that we just tested is a more accurate representation of what most of those AG drives look like. So, as long as you got that model number, you should be golden. And can you build these systems off of a non-Compaq machine? I've had absolutely no success with that to this point. Can you put these drives, these Compaq approved drives, in other systems and work off of them once something is established? Absolutely. I have pulled some cool stuff off drives I've had over the years. I nuked one that had a bunch of really awful content on it and was able to work with those drives in any machine within the correct IDE port, so yeah. And if you try something that's not strictly approved or tested, if you will, by Compaq, proceed at your own risk. I think the British Standards Institution, they did okay. And like I said, anything here that on that is provided as is, no guarantees, and not responsible if anything were to break in your machine. So, that's all I have. If you have any questions, comments, or constructive commentary, you may feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, thank you for watching. Alright, well, I lied. There is going to be a small bonus round on this. There's a drive I forgot to mention, or a couple of drives I forgot to mention, are some 80 meg drives that may work just fine, and likely will work just fine. Again, use these at your own risk. I don't see any specs on these two, but one of the issues with Contura drives is they have a stick 'em problem. Now, there is technically a fix for it, there's a way around it, but not everybody wants to open up a drive and put masking tape on some random small piece. So there is this drive here. It's an eBay listing. It's an ST9096A. There's my little reflection here. Trying to get around it. There we go. So that's the ST9096A. It's from the same seller that I got the drive that we just tested. That is one potential option. And there's this guy, which is blurry, but also from the same seller. Another 80 meg drive, an ST9100A. Our drives work, which we have found in early returns indicate that their drives do indeed work. So if anybody has those, I'd love to see if they actually do work with the LTE light. So that's my little bonus round. For real, this will be the conclusion of this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, constructive commentary, or you actually did test one of the two drives I talked about 30 seconds ago, love to hear from you. As always, thanks for watching.